Hi there, this is Matt from Tin Mountain, and we are hot on the hunt for the Gruffalo. I had never heard of the Gruffalo until recently, but I just saw a reading not too long ago of the Gruffalo, and it really inspired me to go looking for the Gruffalo. And I hope it inspires you to kind of get into that mystery and look for the Gruffalo yourself. So I'm hot on the hunt for Gruffalo. In a little bit, Tara is actually going to read you guys a story called, appropriately enough, the Gruffalo. But how do we find the Gruffalo? The Gruffalo, to me at least, is a bit of a mystery because I have never run into anyone who has taken a photo of one or has any concrete evidence of the Gruffalo. But I keep hearing these rumors that there's a Gruffalo out there. So I want to find out this mystery for myself, if this mystery is true, or if there really is a Gruffalo. So I read the book, or I saw it read online actually. And what I found is that the Gruffalo likes to eat mice, he likes to eat foxes, he likes to eat owls, and he likes to eat snakes. So if it's so hard to find a Gruffalo, I was thinking maybe we could actually look for appropriate Gruffalo habitat. We'll talk about habitat more in just a little bit. But Gruffalo habitat, what would it be? I was thinking they have to live somewhere where they can find their food. So if I could find evidence of a mouse, or a fox, or an owl, or a snake, then maybe a Gruffalo would live in that area. So the reason I stopped here near this rock is because I found evidence of mice. So come in a little closer, and I'll show you the evidence of mice. And if there's mice, maybe that will attract a Gruffalo. Now this is just a good old-fashioned acorn, but if you look at the acorn, it's kind of split open. Can you put it in the... There it is, it's in the sun. Yeah, I hope you can see it a little bit better now back at home.
Can you put it back in the sun?
I'm going to actually put it right at... Tell me when you can...
There it is.
There we go. So you can see it a little bit better now. And what they do is mice, you're going to look at me for just a second here, they kind of do this. They're rodents. They get those big buck teeth, and they open it up, and they make a little hole, and then they make that hole bigger, and they actually get the meat out of the nut. Just like if you ever have peanuts, you got to crack that outer shell. They sort of open it, they don't have hands, so they kind of bite through it, and then they get the nice, delicious acorn meat in the middle there. So this is evidence that mice have been hanging around here. I don't know if we have any other evidence here. Maybe this one. This one's got a little hole too. That could be, didn't look like it did much damage, so maybe it didn't find this one. But I am going to conclude that there are mice around here, based on some what we call browsing evidence that the mice have been nibbling. They're vegetarians, or what we really call, in ecology, we call them herbivores. They eat plants only. So there's evidence of the plant-eating mice around. Now my friend here, the fox, this of course is not a live fox. This is a beautiful fur from a fox. We have two types, gray, and this one is our red fox. And they have thick fur that keeps them warm in the winter, and they do not want to be eaten by a Gruffalo. But I also know, or learned recently, that Gruffalos like to eat fox. So, what kind of evidence of fox would we find? I do know that they're not herbivores. They don't eat plants. They are actually carnivores. Carnivores means they eat animals. And I might expect to find a carcass, but if they ate something really small like a mouse, they would eat the whole thing. But I can also look for another type of animal evidence, scat. Do you know what scat is? Maybe you've walked by it before. I'm sure you'll recognize it if you see it. So we're going to walk down the trail here. And scat is just animal waste, right? Everyone goes to the bathroom, so animals, when they go to the bathroom, they leave that evidence, and we call it scat, not poop. Let's see if we can find any scat. Well, I don't find fox scat, but I found a different type of scat. This is big and kind of hard to miss. Ideally, I would find Gruffalo scat, but you want the honest truth? I don't know what Gruffalo scat looks like. This is all a mystery to me, and probably is to you as well. And this scat right here is actually delicious. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. This is actually, looks real. It's not, it's actually made out of rubber, but it's bear scat. And that's what, a bear mostly eats plant matter. They also eat insects. Occasionally they will hunt something. but they're mostly eating plant matter and insects. So bear scat is a big old clump. And I know that Gruffalos don't eat black bear, so this doesn't really tell me too much, but this is the kind of thing we want to look for. If we can find fox scat, that would tell us that foxes are around. I do know, though, that, I see something over here.
What did you see?
Let's see what we got here. I'm going to put my box down just a moment because I see something kind of exciting over here. You see this evergreen tree right here? I do know offhand that owls love during the daytime to hang out, or what we say roost, in evergreen trees like this hemlock, because it gives them lots of shade, but more importantly it camouflages them so they can't be bothered while they're resting up during the day, and at night they'll come out and hunt. But the Gruffalo, apparently, so I've been told, likes to eat owls. I don't know how it eats them, but perhaps it might sneak up a tree and grab them while they're roosting. But here's my evidence that there is actually an owl in this tree. Look at this. Come up here. Have you ever found one of these? At Tin Mountain, we actually use these with kids as a learning tool. This comes from an owl, and it's kind of like scat, but it comes out its mouth. So like food comes in one end and it comes out the same end kind of deal. We call this an owl pellet. And it's basically fur, hair, depending on the animal. Some animals have fur and some have hair. And it also has little bits of bone. So whatever it can't digest, so digest all the soft parts, the meat and the brain and all the soft tissue, all the fur and the bone that it doesn't like, it coughs back up. That's called an owl pellet. And so that's some evidence of an owl right in our area. I'm going to continue to look for, I really want to find some fox scat though. So we've got evidence of owls, evidence of mice. Do you think this is good Gruffalo habitat if it's got two of the animals it might eat? We know that they're carnivores because they eat animals. I smell something kind of strong. If you ever smell something that smells kind of like a skunk, that is actually fox urine or fox pee. And sometimes they'll leave their scat near where their urine is, and it smells kind of skunky. Oh, yeah, and sure enough, look, check this out. Don't touch this at home, because you never know, it might have bacteria or something, but this scat right here is from a fox. And it's got little bits of fur in it, and it's also got, sometimes it will have berries in it, but it's usually little fur and bones, almost like the owl pellet, except it comes out the right end. And once again, just for honesty, this one is also, this is not so much, this is just a rubber replica, but this is what it would look like if we actually found some fox scat. And, oh, here we go. Some more scat right here.
Whose is that?
Good question. Does anyone watching this know what that is? You recognize it? I know sometimes they make jewelry out of it. Kind of gross. They dry it out first. This is actually from a plant eater. So we know the Gruffalo doesn't, well, I'm trying to think. The Gruffalo eats mice, and that's a plant eater. This is not mouse scat, though. Way too big. This comes from a moose. And again, this is our rubber scat that we have at Tin Mountain. But this comes from a moose. And do Gruffalo eat moose?
I think they're too big.
I would think they're a little bit too big, too. The Gruffalo tends to eat every part of them. And I'm thinking, I know that moose eat mostly like needles, like balsam needles and buds and things like that. I think that makes them taste kind of funny to a Gruffalo. Gruffalo seems to have a preference for fox that eat mice and mice. So maybe there's something to do with mice. And owls also eat mice. So it seems like either mice or animals that eat mice attract Gruffalos. So I'm going to say no to this, but we did find fox scat. We found an owl pellet, which I put in my pocket here. There you go. We have an owl pellet right here. Again, just in case, if you ever want to find one of these. So it might take you a long time, and I can't guarantee you'll go out in your backyard and find one of these. But if you spend a lot of time in the woods and you look under evergreen trees, once in a while you might actually find an owl pellet. And even if you don't find a Gruffalo, that's kind of enough of a mystery in itself. Because I've only found like 2 of these in my whole life. So they're common, but you just have to look for them. So that is an owl pellet. And then we also found evidence of browse. So not scat, but evidence of an animal feeding. And that browse was characteristic, we say, of a mouse. Remember, it opened up that acorn and made a little hole in it? So if we have mice, we've got evidence of fox scat, and we also have an owl pellet right here. If we have fox, owls, and mice, we haven't had any evidence of snake, but I think 3 out of 4 is pretty good. I'm going to say doesn't mean a Gruffalo lives here, but I would say this is worth coming back to another day here, coming back here another day, and seeing if we can maybe find more evidence of a Gruffalo, and ideally, in the perfect world, we will find a Gruffalo. That would be so exciting.